UK, 11 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. No, not 8 a.m. Well, I'll stop there. Hello, RJ.
Hello, Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing good today, and we say welcome to the show. And if you're watching this on replay, welcome to. You'll find lots of useful information in the show, all about messenger bots. And this is Bots for Broadcasters with RJ and Stephen. And we are hot. We are hot. Udemy says we're hot.
Well,
so it's got to be true.
It's got to be true then.
Yeah. All good. As I say, that's never happened before. So
really, that's the part that shocks me because you have so many classes on Udemy.
I've got classes that are doing well, but I've never been hot. Well, if you know what I mean. I've been advertised. Yeah, I'm grateful for that over the years that I've been teaching there. But it's the first time I got the hot label, which is an accolade where the Udemy think, it's a good course to actually go out and buy, which is a recommendation, really, which is good. We say hello to everybody who's watching us today, and thank you. All right, okay. Now, you did say you had some topics for today, because my agenda was structured around something else.
Right. Well, I had an influx of new people into my community the other day, and I just so I've just been thinking about maybe we could talk this week about getting started. How do you get started? What's the most efficient way to get started in ManyChat? Because the feedback has always been that interface is a little confusing. It's not, the things are not worded in a way that is super intuitive, and that really kind of talks about what things do. Or I'll say this, the things that, they use stuff like growth tools, broadcasting, automation. Those are things that are that make normal people, which that's who they're trying to get in. Normal people without computer degrees, that people don't know what those words mean or how that would apply to writing a bot. And so a lot of people, they pop into the interface and they get confused because it's not very intuitively written. Trust me, the software folks are doing a wonderful job. They're just not really marketing folks.
They're not social media people.
Right. And they don't often look at the product from the point of view of a first timer seeing this. It's years back, I taught a class up at the university, and it was about it was actually for people who were in the computer science grad and undergrad. And we talked about the curse of knowledge. Do you know what the curse of knowledge is, Stephen?
I do not. What is the curse of knowledge, RJ?
So the curse of knowledge is when you know so much about something that you physically cannot put yourself back in the shoes of somebody who's looking at it for the first time. It's like I used to demonstrate this by getting two volunteers from the class. And I would tell one of the volunteers a popular song and have that person tap it out on the table. And then have the other person try to guess what the song is. And every time, nobody could ever guess what the song is just by hearing beats on a table. And so that was, it was frustrating for the person who knew the song they were tapping out because they could hear it in their head. It was so real. But then the person who was trying to guess what that other person was tapping was also equally frustrated because all they hear, they're supposed to figure out so much from this tiny little clue that's going on. And so that's kind of what I think of when I think of, interfaces for computers and new people popping into them, is that the people who are developing this stuff, even the people who are developing what they call the front end, which is what people like us see when we go into ManyChat, they don't know how to word things so that it really responds to what someone is looking for at that time. And so people get frustrated and they quit. And so yeah, I would love to talk a little bit about that, see if anybody's had the same frustrations. I know I have a shortcut that I tell people as to where to go to start building, but would love to talk about getting started. Any problems people are having with getting started, any questions, would love to cover all of that. So I hope that's enough of a topic.
It is. I mean, one of the things is people are great at designing software, great at actually getting to do what it's supposed to do. And then they sit down and they try to describe it. And as you say, they've got too much knowledge. And they're describing it from a technical point of view. What you need somewhere in between is a human being who knows both social and the topic itself. And that's where the Udemy gets its strength, because it is not people who design the systems creating courses, it's people who've used the systems creating the course. And therefore, when I did the BLive TV course, BLive in 5, basically it was from a user's point of view. It wasn't a techie overview. It was, this is why you do this. And it's the why bit that's missing. Why do I have to do that? And until you actually know the answer to the why, you can get easily frustrated. And that's true of all software systems, but particularly those that we're using now do need more than sort of the author's guide. They need a user guide as well, written by somebody who can relate not only to the tech side of it, but to the real world side of it. And Kelly and Gospel are here. Say hello to Kelly and Gospel. And Kelly and Gospel are saying hello to each other. And the bot is firing off its messages. Okay, so getting started on bots is basically where we came in with Bots for Broadcasters, because we wanted to give a reasoned approach as to what bots can do and how they can benefit you, and what you need to do to actually explain learning a new language, isn't it?
It really is learning a new language. I think that the toughest part for a lot of people is learning how to present stuff in Messenger in a Messenger friendly format. And for Bots for Broadcasters, they're all very, very light, I would say, bots that broadcasters can use to grow their tribe. Mm-hmm. They're not heavy-handed. Here's this a 30-day course. There's not a whole lot behind these, but where they really function, I think, is the engagement level that you can get with your audience. As far as getting from them, what do they want to see? What do they want to know about? Are we serving our audience? Not just are we getting more people in? That's where a lot of folks are focused, and I totally understand that focus. But once you get them in, how can we serve? How can we support people? How can we support our audiences? Because, I mean, as for me, I'd rather have 100 engaged people than 10,000 passive listeners. How about you, Stephen?
Did you hear my show earlier today? No, you didn't. Kelly did. And we say hello, Kelly, again, for two reasons. One, Kelly's only got one reply today. So that's working, Kelly. We did something behind the scenes just to sort that out. And the second thing is Kelly was over on Twitch with me earlier. I've done two shows on Twitch. First, this morning I was out and about walking the local canal on mobile. And then I did a 25-minute show just because I've not been on Twitch for a while. And I was talking about that exact subject. That there are shows which go out live. Repeating myself, Kelly, sorry about this. There are shows that go out live, get thousands of views, hundreds of comments, and the person hosting the show is happy, the person watching the show is happy, but there is no conversation. There is no communication between the host. No ongoing communication actually starts, because there's no host in their right mind going to go through 700 comments and reply to each one. So there is no interaction going on. Whereas I agree with you totally. What you actually want is to build a tighter knit community gradually by having conversations.
Yeah, you do. You want to create a group of people, a tight knit community. Let's see. Kelly has a question there. Do you want to answer that?
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I was reading it. I didn't realize it was a question. My apologies. No, you don't need. All right. Okay. And I only saw one reply here. You should get one reply here and one reply in Messenger, Kelly. There are two separate messages, but you don't need to do anything about either of them. Leave that to me. It's worked properly, but leave it to me, and all is good. Sorry, RJ, I was interrupted your flow there.
Oh, it's all right. No worries.
Right.
So, to our viewers out there right now, in what way are you already, this is an all play today. In what ways are you already engaging with your listening audience? If you have a show, a live stream, they're perfect for podcasts, any kind of content creation. Do you have a show out there, and what kind of conversations and engagement are you creating the other 137 hours a week when you are not directly in your show giving, doing your podcast? How are you engaging your audience outside of the original broadcast?
That's it. That's key, because we only broadcast for an hour most times, and you want to continue the conversation during the course of the week after the show, and broadcast before the show, and let's just catch up with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris is catching us live and saying hello, Stephen and RJ. Hello, Chris. And Kelly's saying he's got two on this screen and a message. I'll check that afterwards. And Kelly is on his PC. Right, so we're up to date now. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, so the general topic is getting started. And where would you begin if you were going to do your first ever ManyChat bot, apart from bots for broadcasters?
Where I would begin, if you are part of the 5 to 10% of people that just loves diving into new technology, where there's not a lot of people like that. But if you're like that, if you're like Stephen and I, pop into ManyChat, go to the flows section, hit new flow, and just start building stuff. Start kicking the tires, building some stuff, looking at some of the examples that they have for you. Do that. Jump in with both feet. If you are a technology person, the safest place to jump in is the flows section. Your comments are all over there. All right. So sorry. I'm glad you're here, Chris Ann. So, if you're not, though, if you're if you don't want to necessarily jump in with both feet with a technology end, but you want to start writing your bot, this is something that you can do analog. You can do this with your computer shut. You can start writing your bot I suggest Post-it notes. The reason I suggest Post-it notes is because the message is contained on a small square of paper. You can write really small and try to cram everything into that paper that you want, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is you want 1 to 2 sentences, 2 sentences at most in every text bubble. You can start with Post-it notes, start writing out what you want to say, throw those on a wall, and start thinking about, little decision paths. Asking people, are you interested in this? Yes or no? And then keep writing that path. What are you going to say if they say no? What are you going to say if they say yes? You can start creating your bot with just, you know, what you want to say, a stack of Post-it notes, and a blank wall. You can start creating. Then once you have kind of hammered that out a little bit, then you can jump into ManyChat and start building. If you already have it written out, you will tend to get less frustrated with the layout and everything else. You'll tend to get less distracted with all of the different bells and whistles, and believe me, there's a lot. You'll fare a lot better writing out your first one if you already have your intention set, if you already have the words somewhat created and the stuff mapped out. You'll have a lot better luck writing your first one when you jump into the software.
It is similar to writing code, which over the years I've done a lot of, and I design systems for manufacturing, from receiving the raw goods, controlling the stores of raw goods, sending good raw materials out to the shop floor, goods being processed and tracked all the way through the different operations and finished up in the finished goods store. Once you're in the finished goods store, you can then actually say, right, okay, you can take an order, you can create a picking list so somebody can go and get the stock. They come back, you press deliver and out an invoice. Now, you can't possibly hope to write a single line of code until you've got all of that mapped out. It just wouldn't work. You can't start off with the processing section and leave out the beginning or miss the end. You've got to have a full flow all the way through. And the same is true of bots. You've actually got to do it in an organized manner. Otherwise, it will not work. So organization is key. And Chris is saying, I did exactly what you suggested, RJ, yesterday, and it just took me 10 minutes after playing around with the flows. So there you are. Advice. Good advice.
Tell me, Chris Ann, how did that turn out? Did you end up with more questions than answers? You can do Post-it notes, my friend. Yes, you can. What came of that experiment, Chris Ann? Can you tell us? Did that help? Did that hurt you at all? What came of it? The reason I suggest flows is because it is a safe place to play. You cannot write something in flows and have it show up anywhere on your bot and anywhere. You have to hook a flow to something, to a growth tool or to a certain place on the bot. You have to hook the flow to something to get it to publish. And so that's why I suggest flows, is because you can't break it. Can't break it. And that's what most people are afraid of, is that they're going to end up publishing something unintentionally.
True. You've got to be careful. Just a word for Kelly, because he's been on circuitous route today to actually find us on the BLive in 5 page. If you're watching on the live video hub page, and it will show up above that you are, then if you just type in a comment, you'll take the same journey as Kelly, and you'll end up watching here, as Kelly is. This is confirmed. It is now watching on the BLive in 5 page. So there were 2 separate bots involved in that. One took you from the live video hub to BLive in 5, and then BLive in 5 said, hello, Kelly. So there we are. That bit is working. Right, and Chris's reply. At first, yes, lots of questions, and then by accident clicked on the diagrams page. Yep. And the option to preview is great. Yeah, I always, sorry, Roger.
Oh, no, the option to preview is, I mean, it helps you understand. What is, how it looks to people, what you're writing.
Indeed, and it stops a lot of problems, especially when you're actually sending people off to a link. And you don't want to mistype the link, because otherwise they end up in totally the wrong place, which is totally unintended. So the preview allows you, and when we do the Blogging for Britain show tomorrow, it will have a bot running against it. It will have 3 options. Watch the show, watch the replay, or join as guest. And I've got to do relative preview to make sure that those 3 links work. I have in the past, I check it all now, but I have in the past inadvertently sent somebody off to last week's show, which is not a good idea when you actually want to get live viewers. So
I know.
we learn
I've done
by
it
our
too.
mistakes. We learn by our mistakes. Yeah. Now, of course, you've got to go from an idea. I mean, there are 4 ideas in Bots for Broadcasters course, but we can actually create bots to do anything that we can do manually.
Yes,
That's
we can. With the exception of, I'll say this, I don't care to pitch people in my bot. I don't care to say, hey, you know, I don't care to sell things right there. My main forward motion in a bot is connection and conversation, and taking that conversation outside the bot, so that, you know, the bot, what it tends to do for me is qualify people, you know, let me know they're interested in my stuff. And then I want to take that out to a conversation where then I can recommend, if I have something that might help them, I can recommend a product or two. I wouldn't want a bot to do that. Some people really want bots to do that, and they, you know, that's kind of their thing, which is totally fine. But for me, I wouldn't ever want to replace that conversation, that live conversation that I'm pointing everything to. I wouldn't want to replace that. But everything else, you know, little mini course you want to put in there, so many things that you can do. So yeah, so many things that we can do, but there is one that I wouldn't want it to do.
Okay. Question from Gospel. Have you created a bot for a big corporation and their team?
Big corporations? No, I love solopreneurs. Love solopreneurs.
Good
do
answer.
not want to create bots for Pepsi. Do not.
All right. And the next question comes from Chris. And Chris is asking, I have a question about how to add my avatar pic to my page's profile in ManyChat.
You actually change that from Facebook. You have to change that in Facebook. ManyChat pulls from Facebook. So you have to change your avatar in Facebook for that, Chris Ann.
There you are. Problem solved. Indeed. Well, I mean, the thing is that what you want is just from a pure standpoint of being known, is you want to have the same photograph everywhere. So when people actually see you on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram or Pinterest or YouTube, or, well, you get the gist, they see the same photograph. Now, it's a pain to actually change it all, but if they see your picture, then there's instant recognition of who they're actually, whose account they're looking at. That's just my 2 cents.
I love having, well, I see what you're saying, and there's definitely a benefit to that. I wouldn't use the same exact picture. I don't have Facebook in front of me right now, Chris Ann, but if you were to go to your page right now, your actual page, float your cursor over the avatar at the upper left-hand corner and see what happens. I think you get the opportunity to change it there. But as for there are people that have pages that are their name, and then they also have personal accounts that are, of course, their name. Okay. So I do have a client, Jay Fizzette. I had him on my show last week, where he's got a page named Jay Fizzette, and he's got his personal profile named Jay Fizzette, and he had the same picture on it at first, the exact same one. Right. And so people never knew who was talking necessarily. So we changed it. It. Blue shirt is always Bot J. White shirt is always Real J. So yeah.
The beautiful thing about social media is there are no wrong answers. There may be differing answers, but you've got to pick the one that's right for you. And there you go. Totally free to do your own choice. So hopefully, Chris Ann, you've actually discovered where that is. It should be good. Right. Okay. Where shall we go from here?
Well, I would say where the audience wants us to go. What are your questions about bots? Can we answer those? Is there anything that is there really my main question every week is what can we add to the class that will make it more helpful for people? Do we have the content in there that that people want to know about? Are we answering all of the questions that people ask us? And so that's kind of a main overarching question. But yeah, what if you're a broadcaster, and I assume you are, if you're watching the show right now, what do you want bots to do? What is the thing that what do you want with the bots? What do you want them to do? How can we help you do that? That's always my question. But I don't know if that answered your question, Stephen.
No, we're good. Gospel saying I have pages with my name and different pictures. It helps me know the difference. Never mind. Okay, point taken. And from Kelly. Okay, and this is a bigger question than it seems. Should you or do you patent your bot if it's for big business? In other words, how can you protect a bot from being copied?
From being copied?
Well, that's the reason behind applying for a patent and stopping other people using the same flow that you've created.
So if I wanted to patent a bot, I would go to my friend Tamsin Horton, who is a lawyer, and I would say, how do I do this? For me, I sell templates, so I'm like the exact opposite. I mean, go ahead, copy this. Here's the deal. You could copy anyone's bot. And it would be awfully, I suppose somebody could prove that you've copied their bot. It feels a little dirty talking about this. But like it would be hard to find out if somebody had actually copied a bot of mine word for word and picture for picture. It would be hard unless somebody saw it and pointed it out to me, because I subscribe to other people's bots and I want to be up on what the world is doing, but like it would be hard to find out because it's a one-on-one conversation. It's not public, you know what I mean? In the same way.
Going back a bit, I wrote software and designed databases, and I had a stock table. And onto that stock table, I added things like item number, description, product group, all the usual stuff. But at the end of it, I put in fields that nobody would ever use with strange names. Yeah. Now, the bottom line to this is that my database was copied. Yeah. And I know it was copied because the last three fields on the database were the ones that I'd put there that nobody'd ever use. Along those lines, if you are designing a bot and you don't want anybody to copy, well, you want to know somebody's copied it, then you could put sort of leave behind something which they would overlook, but which you would know about, a telltale sign in the flow itself, which would show you that it had in fact originated from yours. But as RJ said, she actively encourages people to actually copy the templates, so it's not a problem. I have pages. All right, okay, we've been there, and we're now going to how easy it is to duplicate templates. If you're given a template, it's easy for the person who created it to create a template, 2 button presses, and it's done. There's no other way of getting the template on ManyChat, is there? You've got to share it in some way or other.
Yes, you must share it. And then what we did at Bots for Broadcasters for the templates that we share in there is we shared it. You can share it as an embed code, and then we just embedded the code on for Bots for Broadcasters, we actually had to have a link out to a free resource. That's and right. Then that linked out to a page, and then we'd embedded those codes on a page. So basically, the answer to a question, how do you get it into your own account? There's just a button on the bottom that says save to my ManyChat account. So if someone chooses to share a template with you, they've got to intentionally do it. And then in order to save it to your account, it's super easy to do.
Now, it has to be said that there are bot designers who actually do sell their templates rather than giving them away as part of a course, and they can make a living out of doing that. So if you are building bots and that's all you do, and you decide that you're going to build a restaurant bot which does the full service in a restaurant, in other words, menu, taking orders, and everything that in a restaurant, then you can create that template once, and you can then resell it and send it to other people. So that's that's big business these days. I mean, if you go in the bot groups on Facebook, people are asking, has anybody got a restaurant bot? Has anybody got a retailer bot? Yeah. So possibly time for a bot exchange group where people can post their free bots. Who knows? Right. Okay. Back to so we've explained copying, and you can edit it once you've copied it, and you would have to change everything to suit yourself. Yeah, you'd have to customize the bot, which is why we suggest in the course that you actually look at the bots that we've got in there, and you look at the template, but you actually then start from scratch and learn how to do it yourself. And then you don't have to start deleting things, you start creating things. It's always a lot easier to create something than it is to modify somebody else's, he said.
Depends. Sometimes for the first time builders, they're much more it's easier for them to grab on to a bot, to a template and customize it rather than from scratch. But once you get the hang, it is certainly easier to build your own, because you know in your head kind of where you want that to go. So yeah, David Burrows is here. David, hey, how are you? What's going on? I know you're using your bot a lot more these days. What's happening for you, David? What are your results lately? Are you getting some better engagement? Let us know in the comments. Or, I don't know if we have a guest link for this or not, but David's always a fine face to see.
Yeah, you can type guest and join us on camera if you wish. Okay, and Gospel is saying it's a nightmare though to modify from templates.
So well, I haven't experienced that. You might have to take me through that.
Okay. And just to say that Monday.
Gospel, can I ask you a question? Do you mean the templates that they have in ManyChat, or just a regular template off the shelf you would buy from somewhere else? The ManyChat templates I have found to be a little prohibitive because it's unfortunate. So they're really full featured, but they are hard to change because they've placed that template for you. It's all done from start to finish. If you want to change anything, it breaks connections here, it breaks connections there, and then you've got a whole mess on your hands. If you're just doing like a regular off the shelf, I shared a sequence with you, that shouldn't be hard to change. So tell me where you got the template from. I'm very interested to know, because like when I have shared templates with people, they haven't had a problem customizing that stuff. So let me know, because I wanna figure that out. I've played in ManyChat templates before, the ones that they give you. They're built at another level, darlings. Have you played with those before, Stephen?
I've looked at them and thought, not yet. It's not yet the time to actually get involved. I think that they're done to suit a purpose. They're done to demonstrate the power of ManyChat, which they do undoubtedly, because you actually go into the ManyChat messenger bot, then you get the full feel of what ManyChat can do. From my point of view, though, and I think from yours, the only way to do and create bots is to keep it simple. Once you overcomplicate it for yourself, you've overcomplicated it for the people who are actually going to be using your bot. So keep it simple, keep the flow simple, so that people don't get taken off in the wrong direction, have to go back a step. Right, okay, just catching up with the comment, and David is saying that his bots are now getting more reactions and comments, and Gospel is talking about ManyChat templates. And
okay, now I understand where you're coming from, Gospel. I totally misunderstood your comment. Yes, those are they're many featured, but I would never say start with those. I've tried for ManyChat and some others. Okay, I've worked within what the kinds of templates that I sell and that I share with people who are my clients. Those are all I built them all in ManyChat, but they're my templates. They're not listed in that big template section or whatever. Those have been easy, but man, the ManyChat templates, it's exactly right. If you think about it as has anybody ever seen a Rube Goldberg machine? One of those machines that have a whole lot of connections and little modular parts and all of these things. That is what a ManyChat template reminds me of. And that is what people end up going, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to stop this. So I never recommend that newcomers go there. I recommend that, like, Stephen can go there. Prefer to build from scratch. Absolutely.
Indeed. And that's the best way of all to do it, because you're learning as you're doing it. You can make mistakes, and nothing's public until you say so. And you test it yourself. And don't forget that. Don't forget to test your bots before you let them loose into the wild. Right, okay. David's joined us. I just wanted to say that David and RJ are live on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern on the TVSN page, and I've no idea what they will be talking about, other than the fact they're on the show together. So looking forward to that. I shall be sat in Dublin, and I shall have my mobile phone out. No, I won't. I'll be at the after party after the show. I'll catch the replay, I do promise. All right, okay. So I think we've been through most of the comments. If you are watching this on the live video hub, it's a lot easier these days. If you are on the live video hub, just type hello, and you get a link to join us on BLive in 5, and then we'll be able to see your comments. We're not ignoring you. You can come over here. That is rolling out 4 shows that go, just as a general point, shows that go out on the live video hub now. There will be a bot running on the live video hub, which will point people back to your own page. Full details of that next week, but for the moment, just take it that an increasing number of shows that go live on the hub will be redirecting people back to where you're actually live. So hopefully you'll be building a live audience as well as a live audience which is actually on the right page at the right time. And that simply works because that's how we were joined earlier by Kelly. Okay, because people do start watching on the wrong page. And it's interesting when you do live cross-posting that sometimes only a small percentage of the views and reactions are actually on the originating page rather than all the cross-posting pages. Right, okay. Yeah, so that's that. And just catching up with the comments. Right, okay, last comment was I build from scratch, with which we both agree. Right, now, do you see any changes or enhancements to bots in the coming months?
Well, I mean, I see many. They're constantly working to to make it a better experience, both Messenger and ManyChat and all the other bot products out there. And there are a lot. There are a lot of bot providers out there. I choose ManyChat because it's the easiest to teach people to work with. But there are tons of other stuff out there. If you Google it, there's another bot platform every day. And it's crazy. It's crazy time. So yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of changes coming up. And there's also, always legislation headed our way that we get to react to as soon as that stuff goes into effect. But yeah, it's a wild and wonderful world out there. And I'm still, along with the many new features that are in there all the time, there's a lot of stuff that I'm experiencing that people are turning into bots. For instance, this is going to be my show tomorrow, but there is a brand new author out there. Jenny Harkle is one of my clients. She has a book that's releasing tomorrow. She'll be on my show tomorrow talking about it. And what we did with her new book, and I got this clue from James Patterson's page. James Patterson is the guy who writes a lot of thrillers. On James Patterson page, you can read an excerpt of his book. And not only can you read an excerpt, it's not like they, you push the button and they deliver you a PDF. It's written on the Messenger platform. So it has a choose your own adventure feel about it. There are images included. There are little GIFs included. If you want to go forward in the book, this is hilarious, Stephen. It's like a page forward function. Like in Kindle, you have to turn the page, and there's other stuff that you have to do with other books. But the page forward function in Messenger Chat, the way that they used it was an emoticon of a knife, because this book is about a murder that was done by a chef, I guess. So you push the knife to read more, basically. But we taking off of that example, we built we were delivering an excerpt of her book on her Facebook page. And it's called Balanced You, if you want to go there and check it out. And at the end is a call to action to buy the book, learn more about the book, basically, and it sends you to the Amazon page. So there are ways that people are using these, regardless of the new features, that are new, brand new all the time. And so that is very exciting in my world.
Right, Mr. David Burrows has typed guest, and
there goes the show.
Actually got the link, and he's setting up at this very moment. So we'll catch up on the comments before we catch up with David. And Chris is saying, "Love that," an excerpt from North in the message, and Gospel's going to check that out. And I think we have from Sarnia, Ontario, Canada, the one and only, our good friend, Mr. David Burrows.
Bots Hello. Are beautiful.
Bots are beautiful, baby.
That's a good start.
Hello.
Is today a teaching day?
No. I'm preparing for tomorrow's classes and doing some other stuff. So this is a work at home in the studio day. Yeah.
Nice.
So I was actually lounging and taking part of my lunch break and had you on the phone. And when you said, "Come on, David Burrows," I had to come down here and boot up the computer again. And so,
we do appreciate it.
Well, okay. I like that you're talking about this because, as you know, RJ, I've been reborn recently as far as bots go. And I take it back to even the beginning before I really met you, RJ, and I saw Stephen, talking about this bot thing. And I was like, oh, it's just one more thing I got to do. And I'm busy already. And I want live interaction. And boy, was I wrong. And what I mean by that is you can still have live interaction with bots, even though there's some automation there. And I think it's important that people still do that.
Yeah.
But there are things you can do with the bots, right? That there's some tiny little things that they don't need the live interaction, and you can always jump in anytime and take it over, right? So I'm just using it right now for my show, my community show, and then the broadcasting to your community that Stephen and I do. And it's real simple, sends out to the subscribers that, hey, we're going live in 10 minutes. If you'd like to, click on this, click on that. And that's about as far as I've gone with it. And just that alone has increased. I would say it's not even just the views, it's more of the engagement, the comments that people are showing up and going, oh, there's something going on here today, and I can comment. So the engagement's been increased too.
That's nice. I always love it when the engagement is increased, because there's so many benefits to that, right? I mean, when you've got somebody out there who's, engaged in your show, asking questions, giving you feedback, that is not only awesome for you on the broadcast itself, but that is awesome for them because they're getting answers. And then it's also awesome in the algorithm, as much as I hate playing to the algorithm. But those comments do something for you. They do something for you. So very good. I'm glad to hear it.
And the comments, as you said, like it's good for the show to growth and all that sort of stuff, and the algorithm, and it's good for it's really good for the broadcaster too, because when you have engagement on your show, you really feel good. Yeah. And when we feel good about what we're doing, we even get a little bit more excited, and then more results come from that, right?
It's a virtuous cycle, right? It just keeps adding to itself because of just what you're talking about. I've done shows where it's been like, I am talking to crickets right now, and your energy. Yeah, exactly. Your energy gets pulled down when that happens. If you're doing a show, and people are like, oh, I want to catch that, and then come in and start engaging with you more, asking questions more. Let's just that's the gold. That's the gold with bots for broadcasters.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a question from Gospel which needs clarifying, and it's Facebook's fault. People that didn't get their page approved by Facebook before the 1st of December 31st, 2018, what do they do now? Can they use their bots?
Yes, they can use their bots. That edict that you got to have this approved before the 31st got removed in the beginning of December because Facebook wanted to reevaluate what they were doing. So right now it's fine. One of the things that to do certainly is to, when you are broadcasting to your people, and when I say broadcasting, I mean when you're making an announcement inside your bot. I should be very clear on what I'm saying there. When you're making an announcement inside your bot, make it something that, unless they have subscribed to a certain thing where they know they're going to get a link every once in a while, make it much more general. Ask people a question. If people engage with your bot, which means if they hit a yes or a no button, a click of a button counts as engagement. If people engage with your bot, then you can go ahead and send them a link. I say that to be on the safe side. Right now, you're not going to get, people aren't going to get, sequestered if they don't do that. But what I'm always trying to do is, I don't want to be caught behind the 8 ball with rules and regulations, because I deal in a world where there are so many places that could give bots rules and regulations. So what I try to do is stay ahead of it by when these things are being developed, I try to start acting that way immediately. You know what I mean? Just so I never get behind the 8 ball. But yeah, people can still use their bots. That was rescinded on, I think it was December 5th or 6th.
And we have a theory about that, involving ManyChat being very close to Facebook.
They're married. They're married. The guy who started ManyChat came on to the ManyChat community and gave this announcement that the thing was rescinded, like before or at the same time the news was coming out. Facebook and ManyChat are like this, babies, and that's another reason why I recommend them highly.
So what's the page approval thing? I'm kind of not sure about what all that is, and how do you get a page approved?
There is an application process that you can go through.
And what do we mean by page approved?
Okay. So how this all started was that at the platform level, ManyChat and all the other bot platforms out there have agreed to say, we are going to make sure that people treat subscription messaging correctly.
Right.
Because that's where people spam other people. And Facebook Messenger, they have not put all this time and money just to make it like email where, you're getting shouted at by, everybody, and they want to make it spam free as much as possible. So subscription messaging is where people are subscribed to your bot and you can send them a subscription message pretty much anytime. They can't contain promotional material. In this case, Facebook is saying promotional material is buy my shoe, here's a link.
Gotcha.
So if you've got people subscribed to your bot and you are trying to send them 3-4 times a week, buy my shoes, here's a link. That's a problem. And you're going to get yanked. Okay.
Right.
So before this time, and at this time, actually, because nothing has changed, everybody, Facebook has said, ManyChat, will you make sure that people understand how to do subscription messaging? You guys carry the responsibility. Well, what Facebook started thinking about late last year, about October is when this came out, was saying, okay, we're going to make it so that individual pages carry the responsibility of knowing what subscription messaging is and how to use it. Yeah, no excuses. You need to apply. You need to know the rules. You need to apply. You need to be upfront about this stuff. Still something that I have no problem with, because what they're doing is preventing spam on the platform, which makes it safe for us to use.
Makes sense.
So, but what happened then was Facebook Messenger got a whole lot of feedback from, messenger bot builders everywhere that, that basically we are using these subscription messages for more than what Facebook originally thought we would be using them for. Okay. And they received enough feedback on it that made them say, okay, we're going to hold off on doing that. We're going to hold off on making it so that everybody's individually responsible. You can still apply. You can still get accepted or rejected. That's totally fine. But there's nothing right now that says you can't send messages unless you are approved. There's nothing that says that. Everybody's still sending out messages.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Anybody using ManyChat is totally covered. The approach on Chat Fuel is different.
Oh, really? Tell me.
When you build a Chat Fuel bot, you have to have it approved by Facebook. You treat it as an individual page, and you've got to have the bot approved. Whereas on ManyChat, because you're actually using a set of pre-scripted options, then there is no way you can actually go off and do something that you shouldn't be doing, because you contend. Whereas with Chat
there's
Fuel,
nothing I need to do for my page then?
Nothing.
Right now, no. You're fine.
Okay. Will you let me know, RJ?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
A good question from Gospel. So, how do people promote their products? How do people promote their products through bots?
Well, other people promote their products through bots by asking, instead of sending a message that says "buy my shoes" and the link to the shoes, they send out a question instead. Are you interested in my shoes? And then if people press, no matter what button they press, yes or no, then those people shoot them "buy my shoes" and a link. That's how they do it. You can't send promotional messages to someone who hasn't interacted with you in the last 24 hours. A button press counts as an interaction. If all you're interested in doing is selling things, that is how they do it. but notice I said they.
They, yes, not us.
They. Who are they?
The infamous they.
Well, I think it just all this just makes sense, and thanks for clarifying that, RJ. Because I was like, oh, do I have to go and do something and get approvals and all this other stuff? So
it's confusing.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're the expert, and that's why, like I've always said, I don't take legal advice from a doctor, and I don't take medical advice from a lawyer. Just go to the expert. So thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad to be of help, and I'm keeping abreast on this situation too. Nothing seems to have changed. I know that there were a lot of conversations though, because the Facebook had some very narrow uses for bots that did not include everything everybody is doing. So I think that if we haven't, it's February, it's January still right now. Notice I'm fast forwarding through winter.
Yes, you're on holiday, aren't you?
Yeah, I still am. But it's January now. We might hear, we might hear something about it at some point, but I think that where we're likely to hear a lot about it is probably the developers conference. It's where we're likely to hear a lot because they're now, instead of, because this is always the problem with the big company, is that they think about how we're going to use stuff and then go, okay, here's how you can use it. Well, now they need to look at the patterns of use and what people are actually using it for. And it's a lot more than just, they had like 3 categories you could apply for: news and updates. Like one was something like health information, the subscription information. Those categories they were just too narrow. It was just too weird. But yeah, nothing needs to change right now, but I'll let you guys know.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Right, RJ and Debbie, thank you for joining us today. RJ, it's over to you to close the show.
Well, if you're just getting into bots, this is a great time. If you're a broadcaster, we recommend our class, and we also have a coupon for 90% off. So don't think that we're just trying to take your money here. But the class has
how much off?
90%.
Wow.
Steven has a secret coupon. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Sorry, carry on.
The class is available. It has templates for broadcasting specifically, and more to come in the future. But if you're just getting started, you can get started. You can get started without having to look at even have to open your computer if you don't want to. And now is a great time. It's only going to get better from here. And with that, yeah, there we go. With that, I will hand it back over to you, Stephen.
Thank you, RJ. David, thank you. And I look forward to watching the recording of yourself and RJ next Monday, 12 p.m.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And this is Bots for Broadcasters. This is the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking part in the experiment with a messenger bot on the show live today. And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Toodaloo.